Hi everyone, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to Fiberflux. I'm so glad you're here because I've been working on this beautiful little square and I cannot wait to share it with you. This is a beautiful square done in bright, happy, kind of summery colors with a flower in the center. You can see a little bit bigger picture of it here, and we're going to look at it up close in just a minute. But this is made from the center, working outward. You can see the beautiful flower, and then there's some post stitches that kind of frames it all in. And then in the pattern, I show kind of how to change up the sizing if you want to do that. This can be made into a gorgeous blanket, or you could do it in cotton yarn. This one's actually made in some cotton yarn, and make it into even a dishcloth or a trivet. It would look lovely on a table as well. We're going to go through the whole thing step by step and stitch by stitch. Now you can get the full pattern here on the channel if you want to crochet along with me in the video. You can also get the written pattern over at the Fiberflux blog for free. Or the ad-free pattern PDF both in my Etsy shop and my Ravelry shops as well. All the links can be found down below. Now before we get started, be sure and hit that subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. I share full project tutorials just like this one. I share tips, techniques, stitch tutorials, vlogs, roundups, and so much more. We have so much fun on this channel, and if you haven't joined us yet, be sure and hit that subscribe button and join in our crochet fun. So let's take a closer look at this gorgeous square. We have a flower center here. We're going to be working this in rounds. So we're going to work the flower first, and then we're going to come in and frame it with these post stitches. That's how you see this color kind of popping through. We're going to do that with some post stitches, and then add some rounds onto the end, and that way you can have a little bit of flexibility of how big you want it to be. You could just keep going with your square, or you could stop where I'm going to stop as well. Now our finished square is 8 inches wide and 8 inches tall. And again, we're going to work from the center and work outward. Now we're going to make one just like this, but feel free to mix up the colors, make the flower a different color, for example. So for this project, you're going to need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle to weave in your ends, a tape measure, especially if you want to change up the sizing a little bit. We're going to be using a 6mm J crochet hook. This is my Clover Amour hook. If you want any of these supplies, including the yarn, I'll put the link down below and you can kind of shop those as well. And then for our yarn, we're going to be using a number 4 medium weight cotton yarn for this. Now you don't have to use cotton. I used cotton for mine. Any yarn you want. It's made to be a blanket square, so if you want to do it in any yarn you want, or if you want to do it in some cotton yarn like I did, you could make this into a dishcloth or a trivet as well. So it's very flexible in how you use this and what kind of yarn you use. But if you want to replicate what I have here, I have the yarn lineup. I used Peaches and Cream, and this is called Mint. This is called Sunshine, Royal, and just red. And I thought these looked really pretty together, nice and bright and festive looking. So to begin, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make the loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Next, what we're going to do is chain 5. To make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to join in the farthest chain from our hook, that first chain that we made, with a slip stitch to create a ring. So insert the hook into that farthest chain from the hook, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. And then you can hold your tail along the edge as you work, and that will weave it in as you go along. And then what we'll do is we're going to stick with our yellow yarn, and we're going to chain 3. We're going to start round 1. So for round 1, chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This is going to count as a double crochet, just as a side note. Then we're going to work 15 double crochets into the center of the ring. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the center of the ring, and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So we're going to do a total of 15 of those. So that was 1, and then 2, 3. Just going to get a little bit more yarn here. 4. I'm still holding that tail along the edge as we work here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So that chain 3 we did at the beginning of the round counted as a double crochet, and then we did 15 double crochets. So we have a total of 16 spokes on our wheel here, if you will. And then we're going to count 3 chains up and join to close with a slip stitch. Insert the hook into that topmost chain, bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. And now we have a nice little circle. This is the beginning of our square here. So what we want to do now is we're going to cut the yarn and we're going to fasten off our yellow. So wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through the loop. Okay? Now grab your next color that you want to use. This will be for our petals. So for the next 2 rounds, our petals are actually made of 2 rounds. We're going to do a round in red and stick with the red and do another round in red to make that complete petal shape. Okay? So grab your color, whatever color you want. And if you notice, I kind of pulled the center where I wove it in just to kind of close that up a little bit. And we're going to try to weave in our ends as we go as much as possible. It'll save you some work at the end. And grab your next color, whatever color you want to use for your petals. So for our next round, round 2, what we're going to do is tie our new color in between any of these double crochet stitches. So just locate any spot, it doesn't matter, and go right in between them, hook the new yarn on, and bring it through. Then we're just going to tie it right on. If you have a way you like to join new colors, feel free to do that. I like to just cut the yarn and tie it right on, especially when we do different rounds in different colors. Then we're going to go back into that same area where we tied our yarn, bring up a loop, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Once again, this counts as a double crochet. Now go back into that same space here, and we're going to work a double crochet into that space. And then we're going to work a chain 2. And then another 2 double crochets. So double crochet in that same space and double crochet in that same space. Just like that. So here is our first half of our first petal. All right, let me grab a little bit more yarn here. Then we're going to skip the next space, and in the space after that, I'm still holding this tail along the edge as I work, just as a side note. So skip the next space, and in the space after that, what we're going to do is work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet, all in that same space. Okay, and it'll look kind of like that. Skip the next space. In the space after that, do the same thing. 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet, all in that same space. 1 and 2, just like that. Skip the next space. In the space after that, 2 double crochet, 1 and 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet. Now, anytime you're approaching a tail, you can feel free to weave that in as you go along too. I have a tail from the previous round. I'm going to work on that. And we're just going to continue this all the way around. Skip the next space, and in the space after that, do the same thing. 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 double crochet on that same space, and then just continue around. All right, just coming up to the end of round 2, and we're going to join in that 3rd chain up once again with the slip stitch. Insert the hook into that 3rd chain up, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook, and round 2 is complete. We have the beginnings of our flower. So what we want to do next is we're going to stick with this same yarn color as this round because we're going to complete our petals on this round. So what we want to do is we need to slip stitch over to this first chain 2 space. Our hook isn't quite in the right spot. So go ahead and work a slip stitch. Insert a hook into that next stitch, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook, and now we're in the same general area, but go right into that space as well and do the same thing. And now we're exactly where we need to be. So what we want to do now for round 3 is chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then again, this counts as a double crochet. And in this same space, we're going to work 4 double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we have the beginnings of one petal and we're going to start working from here. So the next thing we're going to do, so see these V clusters from the previous round, it was 2 double crochets, the chain 2, do 2 double crochet. It created these V shapes all the way around. In between these V's is also a space right here. In that space all the way around, we're going to be working single crochets. And that will kind of round off our petal as we need it to be rounded off. So insert your hook into that space in between the V's, bring up a loop, now wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. And that's how we'll get that rounded shape of our petal. Okay, we're gonna hop over to the next V cluster here in that chain 2 space. And in this space, we're going to work 5 double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just like that. Go to the space in between the V's, single crochet. And we're just going to do this all the way around. As you can see, we're starting to get some lovely petals going. All right, let's do this one more time together and then we'll kind of depart. Go into the center of the next V, that chain 2 space, and work 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then again, in between the V's in that space, work a single crochet, okay? So repeat that sequence around, and then when we rejoin, we'll finish up round 3 and move on to our next round. Coming up to the end of round 3, we're just working a single crochet in that very last space in between those V's. And then once again, we're going to count 3 chains up like we did before and join with a slip stitch to close. So just kind of, and round 3 is complete. So we're going to change colors again. If we look at our square, we have this dark blue color next. Again, you can do any color order you like. So cut the yarn, fasten off with your red, and we have this beautiful little flower. I just love it. And we're going to grab our blue. What we're going to do is we're going to, now remember, each one of these petals had 5 double crochets at the top. We're going to tie our new yarn into the center of any of these petals. So the center would be right here in the middle here. So you have 1, 2 double crochets and then the center one and then 1, 2 on the other side. Okay, so insert your hook into that stitch and we're going to hook the new yarn on to our hook. And then we're going to tie our new yarn on. Then we're going to reach back into our same stitch and bring up a loop and we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to work a single crochet into the same stitch. Then we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to work 3 double crochets in between the petals in the space that is underneath the single crochet from the previous round. So if you look at this, the kind of the anatomy of it, you have your 2 petals and the single crochet is in the center. That space right below that, we're going to work our double crochets into that. So double crochet into that space, double crochet, double crochet, and then if you need to kind of straighten it out a little bit, you can. Then we're going to chain 1, and then once again, we're going to work a single crochet into that centermost petal. Now I find that if I sort of like separate this petal from the stuff on the sides and then just kind of like locate that center, work your single crochet and then chain 1 once again. And then we're going to do the same thing. Hop over to that space in between the petals down here under that single crochet, and you're going to work 3 double crochets into that space. So 1, 2, and 3, just like that. And if you need to straighten things out, sometimes see that little bit of red is kind of peeking through. We don't want that. We want it to look nice and neat. So you might need to kind of straighten things out a bit. And then we're just going to continue around. Chain 1, work a single crochet into that centermost stitch of the petal. Chain 1, and then just keep doing the same thing. 3 double crochet in that space in between the next petals. So keep going with that sequence, and when we rejoin, we'll finish up this round and start on our next round. All right, coming up to the end of round 4, and we're just going to join with a slip stitch where we began to close the round. So we have a gorgeous little flower disc starting to shape up like our square. Okay, moving on to round 5, we're going to grab our next color. We're going to start framing in our flower with this mint yarn, or any color you like. So grab your mint yarn or your color of choice, and what we're going to do this time is we're going to tie. Now you can see, remember these single crochets we did at the top of each petal? On either side of them are spaces. We're going to be working into the spaces all the way around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie our new yarn color into the space to the right of any of the single crochets from the previous round. So just locate any of those single crochets, and the space here to the right, which is right here, we're going to tie our new yarn on. So hook the new yarn onto your hook, bring it through, and then just tie it right into that space, just like that. Then we can hold this tail along the edge as we go. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our hook, insert it back into that space, bring up a loop, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, that counts as a double crochet as well. So in that same space now, we're going to work 2 double crochet, 1 and 2. I'm holding the tail along the edge too, just as a side note. So 2 double crochet, and then chain 2, pushing things over as needed. You can do that just to give yourself a little bit more space. And then in the same space again, work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work 3 double crochet, chain 1 into each of the next 3 spaces. So we kind of created, as you can see, if we look at our other square, we created a corner. Now we're going to work the sides of our square. So we're turning our circle into a square this way. So in the next space, work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, hop over to the next space and work 3 double crochet, chain 1, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1. Hop over to the next space and do the same thing. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. Okay, so now we have a corner of our square and then a flat side, and then we're just going to repeat the sequence. So in the next space, do the same thing to work the corner. 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, holding that tail along the edge as we work, just like that. And then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, like we did back here to make that corner space. And then in the same space, work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3, just like that. All right. So it's transforming into a square. Now, anytime you go from a circle to a square, it's going to have a little bit of a rounded because this curvature is pushing those stitches out. But as we keep working rounds, it will correct itself. And you can see there's still a little bit of a curvature here. But You can always block this square to bring in these sides a little bit. And if you need the link to learn how to block, let me know in the comments below and I'll share that link as well. All right, moving along with our pattern, we're going to just repeat the same sequence. So once again, you're going to work and I have a tail here, so I'm going to hold it along the edge as I work. So once again, in each of the next 3 spaces here, we're going to work 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, next space, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, next space, same thing, 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, okay? And we're just going to keep repeating that sequence all the way around. So work your corners and your sides and keep going with that all the way around. All right, coming up to the end of round 5, and we're just going to join once again in that 3rd chain up with a slip stitch to close the round. And we're done with the mint color. So go ahead and cut the yarn. Wrap the yarn around the hook and just bring it through. Okay, moving right along, the next color in our sequence is this red once again. And what we're going to do for round 6 is we're going to tie this red yarn into any of these corner spaces, this chain 2 space we did from the previous round. So just hook the yarn on, bring it through, and then just tie it right on there. All right, then we're going to reach back in with our hook, hold this tail along the edge, bring up a loop, and we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this counts as a double crochet, just as a side note. In the same space, we're going to work 2 double crochet. I'm still holding this tail along the edge. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet, all in that same space. 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Okay, so now we have another corner established. Then what we're going to do is we're going to work a back post double crochet in each of these stitches across. We're not going to work anything into any spaces or anything like that. We're just working into the stitches. I'm going to show you how to do it every step of the way, but I just wanted to point that out ahead of time. And we're going to keep going all the way across until we get to this next corner space, this chain 2 space from the previous round. So to make a back post double crochet, if you look at your stitches, whenever you have a stitch, in this case they're double crochet stitches, you have, and I'm kind of scooting this out of the way so you can see it better, you have a stitch at the top, which is that little loop, and then you have a post. We're going to be working into the post instead of that little stitch at the top. So it's basically like a regular double crochet stitch, it's just a little different how you start it. So wrap the yarn around the hook, and we're going to take our hook and we're going to go in to the back of our square here and come up through the back to the front, and then we're going to take our hook and we're going to go over that post and back down. Wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it back through the way you came, and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, and that is your back post double crochet. And as you can see, it leaves a little horizontal bar here and a little pop of color. And you can see as we progress and keep going around, you can see all that fun color that's going to start showing through. You can sort of see it. It looks 3D almost. Okay, so we're just going to work a back post double crochet in each stitch across. Okay, so keep going with that. And when we rejoin, I'll show you how to work the end of this side here with our back post double crochet stitches. We'll work the corner and then you'll just repeat that. So keep going, working a back post double crochet in each stitch across. All right, just working that last back post double crochet of our side here. And we've done one side. And now we're going to work our corner the same way we did back here. Work your 3 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 double crochet all in that same space. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then for the rest of round 6, all we're going to do is just keep doing the same thing all the way around. Work back post double crochets in each stitch across, work your corners the same way, back post double crochets down this side, work your corner the same way, and when we get towards the end of this round, we'll rejoin and I'll show you how to finish up round 6. We'll move on to round 7 and 8, which is done the same way. So I'll show you how to do both of those. Coming up to the end of round 6, just working that last back post double crochet stitch, and then once again in that third chain up, we're going to join with a slip stitch to close the round, and round 6 is complete. So now you may notice when you worked round 6, when you work back post double crochets, it kind of rolls back a little bit and kind of curls back. That's normal for that type of stitch. It wants to like push things back. But as we work the next 2 rounds, as you can see, it sort of will help flatten it back out. So what we're going to do is cut our red yarn and we're going to fasten off. Our next color is the yellow once again. So round 7 and 8 are done the exact same way. So I'm going to show you how to do it and then you'll just do that for round 7 and 8, okay? So I worked round 7 in yellow and I worked round 8 in the blue yarn, and that kind of frames it in nicely. And if you hop on over to the blog and see the written pattern, or if you got the ad-free PDF, I do show which round is which color. So as I'm referencing these rounds, you can also see it on the written pattern what each round color is worked in. So all we're going to do for round 7 and 8 is we're going to tie the new yarn into any corner space, these chain 2 spaces that we did. So just go ahead and tie that right on. And again, this will help flatten out your square, make it nice and framed in. So again, we're going to weave that tail in as we go. And we're going to reach in with our hook, bring up a loop, and we're going to chain 2 this time. 1, 2. This is going to count as a half double crochet. We're going to be working half double crochets for the next 2 rounds. So to make a half double crochet, in case you're not familiar, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into that corner space, and bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. Wrap yarn around the hook, bring it through all 3 loops, and that's the half double crochet. So we're going to work 2 half double crochets. That was 1. This is our second one. Then we're going to chain 2, and then in the same space, pushing things over if you need a little more room, we're going to work 3 half double crochets into that same space. So 1, 2, and 3, just like that. Okay, and now we have our corner established here. Then what we're going to do is work a half double crochet in each stitch across, and then we'll work the corners the same way. 3 half double crochet, chain 2, 3 half double crochet. You can see everything up above here. And we're just going to continue like that. So work a half double crochet in each of these stitches. Now for that first stitch, you might need to push things over a little bit just to give yourself some more room to work into that very first stitch. Just like that. But all you're going to do is work a half double crochet in each stitch across. Okay, so keep going with that. Work your corners the same way. I'm going to go ahead and work round 7 and 8, and then when we rejoin, our square will look very much like this one. We'll finish it up and do some finish work. Okay, coming up to the end of round 8, just working those last few half double crochets of the round. Again, we worked round 7 and 8 the same way. And I'm just going to join with a slip stitch to close the round in that second chain up where we began. And now we have a square that looks like our other square. We have 2 beautiful squares. So the last thing we need to do is cut the yarn. And I just wanted to say as a side note, if you need your square to be a little bit bigger, you can repeat round 7 and 8 over and over and over again, changing the colors, however you want to do it until the square is as big as you need it to be. So there is a little bit of flexibility there. The last thing we have to do is flip our square over because we're going to deal with some of these ends. We did a lot of different colors, so we have a lot of ends to trim. Now some of our ends, we wove them in as we went along, but some of them we need to weave in with our tapestry needle. So we can grab our tapestry needle, and I'm just trimming the ones that need to be trimmed first, and then that will leave the ones that we need to weave in ourselves. So a lot of these we can just trim, but some of them we will need to weave in with our tapestry needle. Okay, so I trimmed all the ones, and I have two here that need to be woven in with my needle. So I'm just going to go in one direction, and then if you want to lock that tail into place a little extra, you can go in the other direction as well and give that a snip. And then this tail here where we left off, we need to weave that one in as well. Now when you have a project with lots of colors like this, just as a tip, when you're weaving in your ends, so I have a blue tail here, I'm trying to keep that in the blue area. If I start traveling in this yellow or red area, it will show. We want it to be as camouflaged as possible as we weave this in. So we can just give that a little trim. And now our square is complete. Now again, if you want to know how to block this square, if you need to, for example, like if you want to get these corners really sharp and just kind of straighten everything out, you can block this. It's very easy. I have a tutorial. Let me know in the comments below. I'll drop the link to that. But again, you can use this. You can sew a bunch of these together to make a gorgeous blanket. You could use these as a trivet or dishcloth, and it's just so pretty. So that is our tutorial. That is how you crochet the Sunny Soiree Crochet Square. I hope you enjoyed this. It was so much fun to make. I can't wait to see all the colors that you choose for yours as well. So I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone, and be sure and hit that subscribe button, and happy crocheting!